Hey, this is Walter Jones. I was just talking about my friend Sonny Sison, who's an amazing martial artist. He's always been very skilled at what he does. This brother has introduced me to so many different things, including Filipino like knife fighting and those type of martial arts. I've always known him to be very skilled, and I'm proud to have him as a friend.
Greetings, Tuhon Son listeners. It's Morphin time. That's right. Last week when we were doing the Sonny Sison interview, Dad had to, go earn a living at Gamma. That's Gamma, G-A-M-M-A, MontrealMartialArts.com. Phone number 514-281-9928. Many disciplines, including Kachikimbo and Kali, are taught there. And anyway, basically, you went off, and I just proceeded to dork out about Power Rangers with Sonny and talk about many other things and his work in video games and choreographing some video games and just, some amazing stuff that initially the general Tuhon and Son listener who's only about to talk about the martial arts might not find as interesting. But for a 30-year-old man-child like myself, I find this the bee's knees. Anyway, so a little funny fact about Power Rangers in general is that at Comic-Con this week, I got to meet 3 of the originals, and Sonny was nice enough to contact Walter Jones, who played the Black Power Ranger, ahead of time, so he kind of almost said, "Oh, hi, you're Ryan," and I'm like, oh, I've been waiting my whole life to hear him say that. But speaking of whole life, back in the day, right before we get into this interview, calm down, people, all right? Calm down. Just give us a couple of seconds here. This is a free podcast. Yeah, back in the day, Dad was the greatest dad in the world. He, first of all, he bought a video camera, which changed my life. Because I, to this day, still worship video cameras and do all the video editing. Would never happen if Dad never bought that home video camera. But anyway, we made a Power Ranger movie back in the day where all the costumes were a bunch of sweatsuits and homemade masks and stuff. And Dad was the bad guy, which consisted...
That was Sub-Zero, and I was less than nothing.
No, that was the Mortal Kombat movie, Dad.
Okay,
you're getting ahead of yourself.
Oh, my God.
No, this is the Power Ranger one, and I was the red one. A little funny thing about back in the day is kids are awesome, You can't... Kids, they don't get hung up on things. Like, there was this joke in Power Rangers where it's like, yeah, the Black Ranger's played by a black guy. He's a Black Ranger. And the yellow Power Ranger's portrayed by a Chinese girl. Ha, 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 yellow. And the blue one is obviously very sad and good at guitar. But anyway, yeah, so my friend Marlon, who's black, he didn't get hung up on that. He wanted to be Tommy. And my friend Phil wanted to be Zach, the Black Power Ranger. And he was like, this fat white kid with a mushroom cut. So that's just cool. Kids don't give a shit. I didn't have any muscles, so clearly I wasn't hung up on anything either. For all intents and purposes, I was the dorky one with the glasses. I should have been the Blue Ranger, but I wanted to be the red one. So in that mask, not only could I not see regularly, but I didn't have glasses on either, so I didn't see all. So anyway, Dad was a bad guy who was in a black sweatsuit and some bad sunglasses and proceeded to let us kind of like, throw some punches and stuff. Watching this tape now, it is horrendously embarrassing, but what was going through your mind back then? You're just like, were you just being like, someday, son, you owe me big? Like,
No. Role-playing, that's the very essence of why the Power Rangers were made and why the Power Rangers were so successful, because everybody can relate to that. And, basically it was a TV show where if you could have been in there, you would have. And so, hey.
So anyway, with all that babbling aside, here for all those Ranger fans, this is for you. For all the people who are just like, I'm interested in listening to more about FMA. I'm like, well, there's a little bit of FMA in there, but there's a lot of Power Ranger stuff in this episode. This is a special feature for you guys, Tuhon and Son listeners who are about my age, who worship this show back in the day. This is for you.
Geek out.
I just realized last night I met a guy who was an acrobat, a dancer, and wannabe stuntman who was heavily inspired, and I mean heavily inspired by Power Rangers to get into the dancing, to get into being an acrobat, and now sometimes he works in circuses and he works as a dancer, and it's all because of Power Rangers. So is it kind of interesting that knowing that you were a part of something that would inspire people to take on that kind of life?
For a lot of people I know that martial arts and stunts were for their careers that they chose to do was something that was inspired by Power Rangers. While and to be truthful of it, while I'm appreciative of being a part of that history, what really inspired me more than anything else was how much it affected children. My favorite thing to do as a ranger, or if I was managing an event, was hospital visits and or Make-A-Wish Foundation visits with terminally ill children whose wish it was to meet a Power Ranger. So, there were a lot of opportunities for us to go out and meet people in that instance. Do I think of Rangers as much as other people give it the credit that they praise it for? Maybe sometime down the line it'll hit me, but for the most part, I look at it as a great opportunity to have learned so much and provide me an opportunity to travel the world to make a lot of great friends. So hopefully whatever I've done or whatever the show has done for anybody that allows them to pursue something that otherwise would be a pipe dream, then I'm glad that it inspired them to do so.
The gentleman I met yesterday is named Corey T. Really nice guy. He's very, very tall, very slender, but we were filming this. Well, when I say we, I mean I was helping hold a light when the real production was going on, and
okay.
His job. They were doing this amazing scene, and I don't want to give any spoilers away, but whoever listens to this, I'll eventually put a link to that stuff because it's some friends of mine are producers on that, and they're very good people. His job was to do like this. I don't even know how to describe it, because when I was holding a light through my peripheral vision, I see him doing this amazing kind of like, let's say, cartwheel flip without using his hands, and it just was really impressive. And we got into this conversation about Power Rangers. We totally dorked out for like 20 minutes, and he's a really great guy. But the thing I asked him, I'm like, I'm going to talk to this guy yesterday that used to work on that show, and he's like, and I'm like, do you have any questions you want me to ask him? And he said, how do I get in this business more? Like, can he hire me? Stuff like this, stuff like that. For people just getting into this business, what do you recommend for them to do? How do they put themselves out there?
I think from what I understand, I can't. My experience has been completely different. For me, it was right place, right time, right connections. I didn't have to necessarily prove myself, but watching a lot of people who have started their stunt careers after me, there is a term that's called hustling. And this is not a bad term where stunts is concerned. What you typically do is you find out where a movie may be filming, whether it's on location or on a studio lot, if you're able to get in, where you introduce yourself to the stunt coordinator and you show them what you're capable of doing via, maybe you might have your phone with your demo reel on it, and then you give them your picture and your resume. And while that's a crapshoot in many instances, I know a lot of people who have gone that route, and then having built up their experience and reputation through these stunt coordinators, their name starts to circulate around and say, hey, use this guy because he's capable of doing this, or he has the look that you need. There are a lot of instances where people don't necessarily understand the business aspect of it, and they think it's just all about performing. So the networking is a very critical thing to do. And aside from that, if he's just starting out, what I would recommend him to do is maybe jump on a couple of student films or independent projects. However, they're looking for people to be able to develop a demo reel of what he can do. So, when he makes the transition to those cities or wherever it is that he decides he's going to move to, there has to be some place where there's consistent work. Otherwise, just a random movie that might shoot in, I don't know, the North Pole, that's not going to get you a lot of work. You know what I mean? You got to be someplace where the work is, essentially.
Just getting more into the Power Ranger dork and me, Walter, you knew Walter. You came into the show, he called you up, and you went in a year later when it was already in full-blown Power Rangers mania. What was Walter like before Power Rangers took off, and after and during? Like, what was Walter like? Did it change him at all?
I can honestly say one of the reasons why Walter has been a good friend of mine for over 20 years now is because his attitude about everything has never changed. He's still the same humble guy before, during, and after. I don't feel that it ever went to his head. He really appreciated the opportunity of what he got. And what he did, and he's still able to milk it to this day. I know he's doing comic cons across the country. He does the Morphicons and all this kind of stuff. So, I definitely can be inspired by how he handles it. I mean, I've been out with Walter during the time when it was in its heyday, and he's been mobbed. He's left and right. You think about any superstar rocker or singer-songwriter musician that you could possibly see and how they get swamped. Imagine that with Walter times 10, times 100. But he's never been, a jerk to say no to somebody who asks to take a picture with him or ask for an autograph. He's always been gracious about that.
Oh, that's very nice.
Tell him I said hi when you see him.
As someone who's worked, behind the scenes and hasn't received as much actual FaceTime on camera and stuff like that, do you ever see the downsides of fame happen to people and you're just kind of like, this is cool. I feel like Batman, I take off my helmet, I take off my mask, and then I just live the other life, and Batman-isms don't have to affect Bruce Wayne's day-to-day life.
I actually like my anonymity. I like the fact that I get to perform. I have a career that I love and I'm very passionate about, but I'm not, I'm incognito. I can go into a restaurant and enjoy my food and hang out with my friends without someone coming up to me or being mobbed by people out in the general public. A lot of my friends that are entertainment people, that are well-known actors or musicians, they handle that mass appeal, when a fan comes across quite well. I do know a lot of celebrities don't like to be bugged when they're out and about, but for the most part, my experience with those people who are my friends, who are known, they're very gracious about it, because again, you got to give the credit to the fans who support you. If it weren't for them, they wouldn't have careers. So we're talking about anonymity and how I like being able to do what I do for a living without being noticed generally out in the public. But there was this one incident when in '97 I had a small recurring role on the soap opera General Hospital, and I didn't realize how many people are really into these soap operas. So again, simultaneously, I was working as a dancer, actor / stuntman, and I went to a dance audition, and I had at least 10 of my friends that were at that audition come up and go, "Hey, General Hospital." And I thought, oh my God, if you guys are watching it, geez, how many other people are watching it, But again, it's because they did know who I was that they could point that out to me. I never had someone come up off the street and go, "Hey, General Hospital." But I did have a couple of people come up to me early in my career and thought that I was Mark Dacascos, and thinking, that they were friends of him or knew him by association or whatever. So these guys are having full-on conversations with me, and I'm thinking, have we met? And then I realized that they're talking about Mark.
Oh, brother. It's really fun to see how far video games have come with their fluid and motion, because when I was playing Arkham City,
Arkham is an incredible game, man.
Yeah, you can unlock Nightwing's character, and playing with him is so fun because he's just massive. Half of his movements are all stick fight. He never puts down his Eskrima sticks. The making of these video games and studying movement to create these choreography, because that's what it is now. Instead of pushing left, left, right, or A, B, you have a series of movements that, yeah, it is still one or two buttons, but in particular, the way you push these buttons will unlock a majority of different movements. And I don't know, I think choreographing a video game must be very fun, especially in this day.
I've had the opportunity to work on quite a few video games doing motion capture stuff. Are you familiar with the video game Sleeping Dogs?
No, but my friends are. I'm a Nintendo guy, so all the cool adult games I never get to play. But my friend Dave, my friend Dave's really into it.
Okay. I did the primary fight choreography for Sleeping Dogs. So
Wow.
you'll notice certain things in there that are very FMA, very Kaji Kenbo. So take a look at some of that and see if it looks familiar to you.
Sleeping Dogs. What I do sometimes is I work for a comic book store and I dress up as Captain America and Batman. And to these little tiny kids, you know, you got the occasional little jerk saying like, "You're not Batman. You're not Captain America." But for every kid that does that, there's like 10 or 20 kids that actually, for some reason, in their 4-year-old mind believe I am Batman, believe I am Captain America. And that kind of responsibility, though, when you're in character, you're like, I can't let these kids see me scratch my nuts. I can't stub my toe and yell out, "Oh, f-," you know, I can't stare at that girl's tits. I gotta be on ball, baby. I'm Santa Claus to these kids. You ever, like, when you're in the suit and stuff like that, felt that kind of responsibility to, you know, be absolutely on your best behavior always, and just be like, okay, I'm like, these kids, they think I'm the real deal. Like, you know, give them a show and give them that memory, because everyone remembers that bad Santa Claus experience, and I will not be that bad Santa Claus experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, the Rangers are always under the magnifying glass. The company was extremely protective of Power Rangers, so anybody who was ever in the suit had to be on their P's and Q's. You could never break character. You could never be seen with your helmet off. You know, things of that nature. So we couldn't do anything that was out of character. Although, you know, as when I wasn't a suited character and I started working more as a manager at a lot of these events, that fanaticism still existed. It was crazy how parents would behave. I remember at I want to see either Walmart or a Toys R Us appearance, one of these parents inadvertently cut in front of the line by putting his kid right next to the Ranger, and people who had been waiting a long time got upset. So the first guy who was in the line goes up to him and socks the guy in the face, and I'm thinking, whoa, these guys are fighting. Seriously. And you know, then all the moms are like, oh, well, that's great. Start fighting in front of the kids, and real role models there. But the funny thing was, the guy who got socked was this Asian dude, right? So the Asian guy took the punch full on in his face, and then he smiled, and he started moving like Bruce Lee. And I was like, oh, this guy knows something. And I just jumped right in the middle. I was like, hey, cut it out. So, you know, they broke it up. But
and then the kids remember a Power Ranger jumping in front of the two of them and just being like, hey, man, be cool. Listen to my talking sword that I'm moving around with my punch.
That would have been hilarious if that was the case. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of those instances where, you know, for the most part, kids are just happy to see their hero right in front of them. And the parents are the ones who complain. Oh my God, I've had to wait in this line for 10 minutes. Oh, geez. Yeah, you don't even know the half of it. There have been times when my first appearance as Red Ranger, Mighty Morphin Red Ranger in Hawaii, I was by myself at the Ala Moana Shopping Center. The line wrapped around the mall. The mall is huge. It wrapped around the mall. And typically when we're in these helmets, we're supposed to be out no longer than 30 minutes at a given time, because the air that we're breathing is recycled. Not oxygen. What do we exhale, Ryan?
Oh, it's carbon dioxide?
Carbon dioxide. There you go. So we're breathing in back our own air, and it can cause us to lose consciousness. You know, give us headaches and all these kinds of things. Matter of fact, we did an appearance at NASA in Houston one time. And the astronauts there put our helmets on, and they go, you guys are in this for how long?
What was it like first putting on the suit when you first put it on?
Tight. You know, our manlyhood had to be tucked. No bulges.
Yeah, especially the Yellow Rangers one, right? That must have been messed up, or it's just kind of like I don't know if the Japanese stuntman was still alive when the American version came out, but to see like his beloved manly yellow character being portrayed by a young lady.
Well, there's something online. I don't know how it got out, but someone took a picture of the stuntmen with their helmets off, and it leaked online, and the caption says, the moment when you realized Yellow Ranger was a little Japanese guy.
When you were doing the live shows, was the Yellow Ranger performed by a woman, or was it like tradition was Yellow Ranger being portrayed by a man?
There were two tours that were working at the same time. I was on the West Coast tour, and then there was a simultaneous East Coast tour. On our tour, our Yellow Ranger was a guy. On the East Coast, it was a girl.
I even noticed that in some of the Power Rangers merchandise, they actually tried to femme up the Yellow Ranger a bit, like give her a little bit of boobs and stuff.
Well, you notice, right? Yellow Ranger doesn't have a skirt. That's because in the Japanese series, Yellow Ranger is a guy.
Yeah, exactly. I recall that. In fact, fascinatingly, just, you said you used to see all these shows in Hawaii growing up. I myself, my first exposure was watching this Power Rangers footage based on old Super Sentai shows. What's interesting is when I first saw the show that the Power Rangers footage originated from, it was a really corny, not even the best series that series had. When you compare it to other ones, the human identities were people who were frozen underground, and they descend from people who loved, hailed or worshipped dinosaurs. And there wasn't a real civilian identity. But all the other series were. But then in the American one, they're like American teenagers. But when you watch the original series, all that dinosaur stuff, it's kind of like, it was even more like this little dinosaur cult that lived underground and would fight evil that way. So what I'm assuming is that footage of all the series probably did the least well in Japan and was probably the cheapest to acquire because they had so many other years they could have taken from. And
that's possible. From what I understand, Hayam Saban, the man who owned the rights to license it from Toei is the official owners of Power Rangers or the Super Sentai series in Japan. Mm-hmm. From what I understand, Hayam Saban tried to make the series happen in the States in the mid-'80s. And get this, one of the actors was Mark Dacascos.
Oh, man. Mark Dacascos would have made a great Nightwing, too, just as a side note.
So,
I think he would have.
Absolutely. And then I think there was another well-known actor who was starting out at the time. You remember that movie? It was a black actor pretending to be a woman in order to play in a women's basketball league. I think it was called Joanna Man or something like that. Okay,
I'm like, you just basically described every Martin Lawrence movie I've ever seen a trailer for.
But anyway, so that actor's name is Miguel Nunez. Miguel was also on the pilot series that Mark did. That was called Bioman. The Japanese series is called Bioman, and they tried to market it in the States also as Bioman.
Was it from the same footage that they originally used, or was it a different Super Sentai series? Because there's like 20 of them. Like
I said, the first series that came out was called Go Renja. Go meaning 5, Ichi ni Sanchi Go. Yeah, that came out in either 75 or 76 because I was watching that as a kid in Hawaii.
Yeah, I have that series. I have 2 DVDs when I was on tour in Japan. I ended up buying 2 DVDs that I can barely play here, because I need a more worldly DVD player to play it, but I managed to rip the footage off and watch it anyway. The thing about that series is that it kind of catered to that Ultraman type of thing where it was kind of like a series of people who were like kind of like futuristic type of cops, and then they became Power Rangers. So there's really no civilian downtime. I remember distinctly, and I'll tell you this story right now. Who knows if it'll make this interview or not. But I remember being in Japan, and it had been a couple of days, and I wouldn't say I'm homesick, but I was definitely tired and hungry. And just when your body just kind of starts shutting down, and emotionally you're just not feeling it, and to make it worse, it's raining. Walking around, just I'm in this beautiful, amazing city of Tokyo, but I'm just like, and I come into this DVD store, and I'm like, I wonder if they have it. So I see 2 DVDs of Go Ranger, the original one, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I shouldn't spend $30 on each of these things. We're going to Australia after this. I should save money. I should save it for food. I should do whatever. Whatever. It's raining, man. So I go back to the venue and I say hi to my guitar player who's like a big geek like me, and I'm just like, yeah, I saw these 2 DVDs of the original Power Rangers series. And he's like, and you didn't get it, why? And I'm like, oh, touche. Then I turn around, walk in the rain with a little more skip in my step, and go by them. No regrets. I would love to see. I don't know. I'm guessing that pilot with Mark will never see the light of day of what the Power Rangers could have been back in the day.
I saw it. Mark had a copy of it. I saw it.
Oh man, that must have been awesome. Seeing like, hey guys, let's change now. Awesome.
I liked it. I thought, again, when he showed it to me right away, I was like, oh, brought back to my childhood. I said, yeah, I grew up on this stuff. And I said, that's so cool that you got to do this, Mark. So that was pretty cool.
Too bad it didn't work in the rockin' 80s. So, yeah, you mentioned you were playing bad guys on the show, too, at one point.
You know what? I had those monster costumes. Oh my God, they're made for Japanese guys. First of all, so I'm a little bigger than your average Japanese guy. So squeezing into those things, and they could wear anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds plus, and you're putting that on. It's hot as heck. And they expect you to move and see through this little tiny hole that you could barely see through and hit your mark and not crack somebody upside their helmet or something like that. It was hard work, harder work than a lot of big budget movies I've worked on. And then the henchmen, we get our butts kicked all over the place. So some of the guys that, whether you were a putty or a cog or I don't know what other villains they were calling these guys, a stingwinger and blah blah blah. It's challenging, it's physical, but it's a lot of fun because you get to pretend. And when you're the bad guy, you get to be a little over the top and be a lot looser with what was going on. I don't know if you ever saw. There were a couple episodes when a putty would do like that capoeira kick on the one hand and kick his leg over and then come back up. That's me.
I'll try to find that. I think I have the whole series downloaded somewhere. Be like,
so every once in a while you'll see a putty doing like a weird movement that kind of looks like a Jenga, but not really.
I noticed that when they were walking towards the camera, they were doing that kind of Jenga. It's kind of like, putties really require a lot of overacting. Do you ever say to yourself when you're dressed as a putty, you're like, am I moving too much? And they're like, no, move more. Bigger.
The more ridiculous you could be in many instances, and that's what I loved about working with Koichi, is that so long as you were still within the realms of how that character is supposed to behave, then he was all about having fun with it. But when it came to, of course, the fighting, you had to be serious. You had to make sure that you were where you were supposed to be and doing the move or reacting the way you were supposed to be. So safety is always a big factor with these guys. So have as much fun as you want, but make sure that you're also serious about what you're doing.
It's interesting, a little bit of pop culture reference that someone was telling me, and I just looked it up and confirmed it, is that of Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle fame, Bryan Cranston was a voice actor in a couple of episodes.
I wasn't familiar with that. I did not know that, but that's good to know because Breaking Bad is one of my favorite series that ever came out.
Definitely. All right, man. Well, thanks for extra stuff.
No worries, brother.
The thing about Power Rangers, I wouldn't watch the show now. It's just that there's no special features or anything that lends itself to the history of this kind of stuff. That when I do hear about the behind-the-scenes stuff, there's got to be parents, I don't know, were moms ever throwing themselves at you so you'd meet their kid or something like that?
No, I made sure I always downplayed that. Whenever someone mentions, Sonny was a White Ranger or Sonny was a Red Ranger or Sonny were Power Rangers, I have a tendency to kind of shy away from using that to draw any attention to me because I don't think it's about me. It's never been about me. You know what I'm saying?
Was there ever a project you got on? Because, you're a professional, but was there ever a project when you heard you were getting on a project that you personally were just like, oh, man, that's awesome. I get to work on this.
I have that feeling about every project I get on, to tell you the truth. Awesome. The nature of our business is very unpredictable. We don't know when our next job might be, So when someone says, do you want to work or you submit yourself for a project and you're able to get yourself on, it's a blessing that we get paid to play, So anything and everything that I work on, I'm really happy for the opportunity, because I wouldn't be a very good office worker. I wouldn't be a very good waiter. It's just not my skill set to do those kinds of things. I don't like to feel claustrophobic and be stuck in an office. That's just not me. I'm not knocking people who can do that. It's just not me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm lucky to be doing what I do.
All right, well, I'm gonna let you get to bed because it's midnight there.
It is, and I got a 5:30 call time.
Well, thanks for staying up with me, man. I appreciate it.
Okay, bro. Have fun at Comic-Con.
Have fun on set. All right, bye.
All right, bye.
And that was that episode. All right, back to the normal martial arts episodes next time. We got other interviews coming up. We got an interview with
Grand Tuhon Leo Tigahe.
Yeah, he was in the other room right now, actually.
He's the head man for the Pikiti Tercia system.
Yeah, and he's going to be our next interviewee, and we don't need to use the internet to get him. So, all right. So anyway, Tuhon and Son listeners, I don't know. Good night and good luck.
Good night and good luck sounds like a very fine thing.
We need our own, though. It's just like
I know, but we're not that commercial yet.
No, we're not though. We don't want to sell out, man.
We want to stumble over things.
We want to just sell something, man. All right, cool. Anyway, thanks for everyone for listening. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter because no one else will, and we love you. Is that inappropriate?
I hope so.
Okay, we platonically love you. We platonically love you all. It's morphin' time.